The day my worst enemy was completely ruined, she became my concubine. Every day I kept her, slept with her, and her face would turn red with anger. Yet she endured everything, enduring humiliation. But one day, I caught her talking angrily to someone on the phone. So what if I didn't go bankrupt? I'll ruin everything for anyone who says a bad word about her. Bai Ningbing was bankrupt. Once the proud queen of the business world, she became a debt-ridden Cinderella overnight. Her old enemies immediately came to humiliate her further. Miss Bai, lick my shoe. I'll give you 10,000. Otherwise, you won't be able to repay your debt even in 10 lifetimes by selling drinks alone. Bai Ningbing simply lowered her eyes. She stood there, showing no pride or pleading. She just looked helpless and broken. I went straight to her. I threw a wad of money in front of the manager and brought it with me. He said flatly, "You've come to mock me too." I looked at him with a half smile and said, "What else?" His face immediately darkened at my words. I threw the prepared contract and the wad of money in front of him. "Stay with me. I'll give you 10,000 rupees every day." His eyebrows furrowed at this. "What did you say?" I knew it was a sign of his anger. After all, the whole town knew we never got along. And now, taking advantage of his downfall, I was humiliating him like this. He must be seething with anger. I taunted him with my hand on his waist. 10,000 rupees. Every day I'll keep you with me. You're in debt now. Who else will help you but me? The insult made his fingers tremble with anger. I don't know why, but seeing it gave me a strange sense of relief. I threw another wad of money in his direction. Red notes scattered all over the floor. Pick them up, keep them safe, and come with me. Time waits for no one. Bai Ningbing stared at me without a word. Finally, she couldn't resist the lure of money. She slowly bent her knees and, with a look of deep disdain on her face, began picking up the notes scattered on the floor one by one. Her voice had become hoarse. "Feng Yuan, do you always help people like this?" I lightly slapped her back and said, with a smile, "Don't ask too many questions about your sugar mommy's personal life." Her face hardened even more. She used to be my biggest rival. Bai Ningbing always looked down on me because she looked down on almost everyone. But my reason was different. I hated her because I couldn't have her. After all, her face was like a beautiful character in a game, and her attractive figure could make anyone's heart flutter. I thought I would spend my whole life silently jealous of her. But who would have thought I would get such a golden opportunity? She was truly in a huge debt. She silently obeyed my every word the entire way, as if afraid I might send her away. Even after bathing when I approached her, she angrily turned her face away and refused to look at me. I grabbed her chin and forced her to look at me. "Bai Ningbing, you know what a girl living with me should do, damn pay?" The corners of her eyes turned red. After a long moment, she reluctantly obeyed. I pulled her towards me again and said, "Start here and go where I point." Hearing this, her face turned red with anger. Her lips trembled slightly. I narrowed my eyes and said, "If you don't want to do it, then return the money." As soon as I tried to get up, she immediately grabbed my leg. Her dry voice was barely audible. No, the power of money finally gave her the courage to refuse. She slowly got up and came to me on her knees. Deep humiliation was clearly visible on her face. After a while, I stopped her. She looked at me innocently and said, "What happened?" Controlling my trembling voice, I said, "That's enough for today." Hearing this, a slight smile appeared on her lips. From the outside, I was appearing very domineering. But the truth was that I had almost no experience in such relationships. I never thought that Bai Ning would agree to everything I said so calmly and easily. I decided in my mind that now I have to establish my dominance. A little later, when she was arranging the household items, I said sternly, "Why do you need to wear so many clothes inside the house? Take them off." Her movements stopped. She was wearing only a t-shirt. If she had taken it off, she would have been left with only her inner clothes on. Her beautiful eyebrows furrowed in anger. She didn't say anything, but it was clear on her face that she absolutely did not want to do this. I repeated the same thing. "If you don't want to, give me back the money." She even bit her teeth. Finally, she reluctantly put down the thing in her hand and slowly took off her t-shirt, right in front of my eyes. I looked at her carefully. Her figure could truly astonish anyone. The curves were exactly where they should be, and her entire body looked extremely attractive and balanced. I'd balanced. Her face turned red with anger again when she saw me. Feng Yuan, angrily calling my name, but she couldn't do anything, so she immediately turned towards the bathroom, as if to hide from me. I followed her. She was washing her hands. Drops of water were falling on her body, and with every breath she was trembling slightly. I said with a smile, "There is no need to be so nervous. Come here." She immediately became alert. Before she could say anything, I said, "If you don't return the money..." Finally, she looked at me with anger and contempt, but she remained silent. Finally, giving up, she closed her eyes. Then, clenching her teeth, she turned towards me. I nodded in satisfaction. As my fingers touched her chest, I felt her body tremble slightly. Everything was so soft and smooth to the touch. I completely ignored the expression on Bai Ningbing's face. My hand slowly descended. The lower I went, the redder Bai Ningbing's face became. She was trembling with anger. Her breathing also became faster. As I continued to tease her, a muffled moan escaped her mouth. "Fangan," she called my name. I placed the finger of my other hand on her lips. "Can't you stop calling your helper by name all the time?" "Then what should I call you?" "Call me Master." Hearing this, Bai Ningbing's face turned purple with anger. Silence prevailed. Even in the end, she couldn't utter such a humiliating address, and to be honest, I didn't have any such strange hobby either. I was just teasing her. I'd already gotten complete satisfaction from teasing her like this. I tried every trick I could think of to annoy. By the time my friend Ido Makoto came to visit, Bai Ning had completely succumbed to the situation. She was wearing an apron and cleaning the house like a maid. Ido Makoto's eyes widened. He pulled me aside and whispered, "You're really making Bai Ning do all this work, eh?" I didn't understand her. She's already bankrupt. What more could she want? Ido Makoto's face turned serious. Even after bankruptcy, a woman like Bai Ning could have 10,000 ways to make a comeback. I thought her concern was completely pointless, because she hadn't seen what I had seen, how people had humiliated Bai Ning. If she really had another way, would she have allowed herself to come to this? I said with complete confidence, "No, this time she's really finished." Ido Makoto still wasn't convinced. I looked at Bai Ningbing, who was cleaning in the distance. "Bai Ningbing, come here. Tell Ido Makoto yourself what you mean to me now." Bai Bing obediently walked towards me at first, but as soon as she heard me, she suddenly raised her head. The humiliation and reluctance were clearly visible on her face. I glared at her, my hand on my waist. "What's wrong? You've already taken the money. You're still too ashamed to admit it?" At the mention of money, she had no other choice. She stopped in front of me. Lowering her gaze, in a very low, ashamed voice, she said, "I'm your canary." Ido, standing nearby, watched all this. His mouth dropped open in surprise. I smiled and said, "See? I didn't lie to you. If you want, I can prove it again with my hands." Seeing me reach out for her again, Bai's filled with fear. No. There's no need for this. There's no need at all." Bai Ning turned back and began cleaning quietly. Ido Makoto's lips began to tremble. A woman like Bai Ningbing would sell herself to this extent for money. I still can't believe it. "And what do you make her do every day?" I stammered. "Now, she's completely mine. What more can happen?" Ido Makoto looked at Bai Ning once again. It seemed as if he was struggling to convince himself. Finally, he sighed deeply and said, "If that's really the case, then Feng Yuan, you've hit the jackpot. You bastard, you're having a great time." Shortly after she left, news spread that Bai Ning was staying at my house. Friends in the group chat started messaging me nonstop. "Feng Yuan, have you gone crazy? You even teased Bai Ningbing. What have you done to her? Bai Ningbing may be bankrupt, but I can't believe she would sell herself. Feng Yuan is living with a beautiful woman like Bai Ning. Take care of your health too." I involuntarily left after reading the last message. I looked towards the bathroom. Bai Ningbing was intently washing my underwear. My mind wandered to the other side. Perhaps my gaze was making her uncomfortable. She turned and said, "What are you looking at?" When she saw my gaze, she immediately understood where my gaze was fixed. She quickly covered herself with her hands, her face filled with embarrassment and irritation. I felt a little embarrassed when I was caught, but the next moment I remembered, I'm her sugar mummy now. What's there that I can't see? How could she dare to cover it up? I said confidently, "Why are you shouting so much? I'm living with you now. It's all mine already. What's the problem with taking a look?" I won't just look at it, I'll touch it too. Binning hadn't expected me to say something so blunt. Her breath caught in her throat. She couldn't swallow or spit it out. Her face turned red again. I slowly started walking towards her. What happened? Did I say something wrong? Why are you so nervous? Could it be that you really have artificial enhancements? If it turns out to be fake, I'll refund the deal. I'm done. Bai Ningbing's expression changed several times, but upon hearing the last word, she suddenly broke into a cold laugh, as if she'd made a decision. She began taking off her clothes as she walked and headed towards me. Okay, whether I made you do anything or not, if you want to see you look as much as you want. I was completely stunned. I just stared at her. She was in front of me in just a few steps, taking off her clothes one by one. My mind went completely blank. She suddenly bent down and started pulling down her pants. At that very moment, there was a loud knock on the door. In that moment, I felt as if someone had saved me. I didn't even dare to look at Bai Ningbing again. I immediately turned and ran to open the door. Who is it? As soon as I opened the door, a fashionable and handsome man stood outside. He asked loudly, "Is Bai Ning here?" I recognized him immediately. He was Bai, the eldest son of the Ji family. He had previously been quite close to Bai Ningbing. We had a good relationship. My heart was still pounding because of what had just happened. I quickly stepped aside and waved to Bai Ningbing. Ji pushed me aside and went straight inside. I ran after him. I don't know when Bai Ningbing had put all her clothes back on so quickly. She had even put on her coat and she still had my underwear in her hand, which she hadn't put down yet. When Ji saw what Bai Ningbing was holding, his eyes immediately turned red. He looked at me angrily and said, "How did you make Sister Ningbing do such a thing?" I said, scratching my head. To be honest, I didn't ask her to wash it. She started washing it herself. Bai Ningbing didn't even look at us. She went back into the bathroom, turned on the tap, and started washing again. Ji Buo's heart broke. He stepped forward, grabbed Bai Ningbing's hand, and pulled her towards him. "Sister Ning, don't let yourself fall like that. How much money did he give you?" "I'll give you double that. Come with me." My heart raced at the sound of this. The Ji family was far richer than me. I knew that if the money came to a bidding war, I probably wouldn't be able to compete. I immediately cautiously approached Bai Ningbing and looked at her helplessly. All my pride from a moment ago had vanished. I should have been a little nicer to her. What if she thought I was not only poor but also stingy and had chosen another sugar daddy? But then Bai Ningbing glanced at me. Then she said to Ji Buo, "No need." Hearing this, I was shocked. After that, I felt as if the whole world had brightened. Oh my God, what a wonderful binding. My canary, the one I just brought home, turned out to be so loyal. Hearing this, Ji Buo became even more restless. "What is she holding against you? Tell me. I will definitely help you." Bai Ningbing continued working. Her voice was completely calm. "She's not holding anything against me. There's nothing like that. I took her money, so I have to keep my promises." I stood nearby, overcome with emotion. This was the woman I always wanted. She had her own principles. I nodded repeatedly. "Exactly. I've paid. Now you can go." But Ji Buo became even more saddened. He glared at me and said, "How much money do you have? How much can you give Sister Ningbing? And on top of that, you insulted her with money? You've made Sister Ningbing your mistress. In a few days, I'll take her place." Hearing this, I was shocked again. This was the first time I'd ever heard. When I became someone's sugar daddy, I hadn't yet learned the habit of paying in full and calculating later. Even after adding up the bar bill, I remembered that I'd only spent about 300 yuan on Bai Ningbing. That meant only 3 days. Perhaps Bai Ningbing remembered this too. She looked me up and down. Then a faint smile appeared on her lips. She had almost forgotten. "Miss Feng, you're only keeping me for 3 days. I'll be free tomorrow." She looked straight into my eyes. "Isn't it, Miss Feng?" Alarm bells started ringing in my mind. Before I could say anything, Ji Buo, that slender man, laughed. He threw me a bank card. "Feng Yuan, you're too stingy. There's 200,000 yuan here. I'm taking it right now." He actually started to take Bai Ningbing away. I immediately tensed my neck and said, "I'm not willing to sublet. I'm not what. I have the right to buy first." "How can you interfere? Can you?" He laughed again. Then he pulled out another card. 500,000. I scrunched up my nose and said, "Who do you think I am? Am I that poor?" He said, "There's no need. To add another 200,000. That's not a lot for our family, bah. 500,000. I quickly replied. Just stop there. He said calmly 20 million. I fell silent upon hearing this amount. 20 million wasn't just 400,000 in my pocket every month. 20 million meant 4 years' worth of expenses. Jibo, seeing the expression on my face, smiled haughtily. See, Sister Ningbing, he can't keep you. I looked at Bai Ningbing. I suddenly felt helpless. If I kept him, I'd have to spend a large portion of my pocket money on him every month. But if I gave him to Jibo, though, I wouldn't have to ask for money from home for the next 4 years. If I spend time with her tonight and give her to Jibuan tomorrow, I won't be her to... The calm, nonchalant expression on Bidding's face seemed to be slowly cracking Anita. I cautiously told Jibuan to do it and come back tomorrow. But before I could finish, Bidding interrupted me with a cold voice. What do you think of me? She glared at Jibuan sternly. Mr. G, are you deliberately insulting me by bidding like this? I'm bankrupt. I'm in dire straits, but I still have my dignity. Not a commodity for you two to trade. Then she looked at me. If Miss Fang thinks of me as a bargaining chip, then I'll leave tomorrow. I'll earn my living with my own hands. I won't insult myself anymore. With that, Bai Ningbing turned angrily, went straight to the bathroom and locked the door. Only Jibo and I remained outside. We both looked at each other in surprise. We apologized. We tried to console him, but he didn't respond to a single word. Jibo stood outside the door pleading with him for a long time. Finally, with tears in his eyes, he had to go back. I stared at his blurred reflection behind the frosted glass. Then he softly said, Bai Ningbing, forgive me. I didn't mean it that way. Only his cold laugh could be heard from inside. I tried to explain again. I've already brought you home. I've bought so many things for you. Of course, I consider you my own person. After nearly 2 hours, he responded for the first time. There was a cold sarcasm in his voice. When the first bid was 20 million rupees. Do you dare to say that you never even considered selling me for a moment? I fell silent for a moment. After all, 20 million rupees wasn't a small sum. I wasn't as rich as him. Was it wrong to even be tempted for a moment? I knew it was my fault. I said softly, Bai Ningbing, sorry, it's okay. Now that you're in my house, I promise, no matter how much money anyone offers, I'll never be tempted in the future. But she asked in a cold voice, what if someone offers 100 million? Hearing this, I fell silent again. Don't take such a test. Who in the world would be able to pass such a test so easily? When she saw I couldn't answer, her self-esteem was hurt again. A slight sadness crept into her voice. We're fine. I understood. Now I had nothing left to say. I just paced restlessly around the drawing room. It was night when I called out helplessly for the 8th time, Brother Ningning, I'm so hungry. Only then did she emerge with a cold face. She cooked me dinner. Then, without another word, she went back into the guest bedroom and locked the door. She was determined to break all ties with me. When I saw that neither love nor strictness was working, I felt completely helpless. Helpless. It seemed she would really leave tomorrow. I thought to myself, whatever happens, we'll see. Bai Ningbing, even if you're leaving tomorrow, don't forget that you're still mine today. As long as you're my canary, you have to fulfill your canary's responsibilities. The room fell silent for a moment. Then a soft voice called out, What do you want? I replied without a second's delay. I want to sleep with you tonight because, until now, we've spent our time talking about her. I had never really reached that point with her. Now that she was leaving, I had to take at least one last chance. 2 minutes later, the guest bedroom door slowly opened. Bai Ningbing was wearing only a nightgown. Her face looked absolutely beautiful in the dim, yellow light. She asked, Are you sure? I looked at her, yes. My gaze slowly lowered. I swallowed my saliva. Yes, of course. Maybe it was because she had already decided to leave. Bai Ning didn't argue with me. She just wanted to finish her last day right. And then I realized she wasn't inexperienced at all. In fact, she was really, really good at it. I almost couldn't contain myself. After several close encounters, I collapsed onto the bed, completely exhausted. She leaned close to my ear. Her soft, heavy voice echoed in my ears. "You said that at least 7 times. Her heavy breathing and the warmth of her lips made me restless again. When I woke up the next morning, there was no one near me. I called out several times, "Bai Ningbing," but there was no answer. All the things I had bought for her were still in the house, but the whole house felt empty. Bai Ning was gone. Now I was convinced. Until last night we had been so close to each other, and today she had left without a single look back. Although the thought of selling her had first occurred to me. But could she be so heartless? I paced the room restlessly and sat down on the couch, dejected. My mind reeled from the past 2 days. How I used to boss her around. How she had such a magnificent figure. How well she did everything. And, in anger, I pushed her away. I sighed. Then I picked up my phone. I was about to watch some videos when my friend sent a series of messages. "Hi, Feng Yuan, quickly see what's going on. You had Bai Ningbing as your sugar baby, didn't you? Then why is she delivering food now? And look at her fate. She got an order right in an area of rich, spoiled people. I feel so sorry for her. Now I understand why the wise men of old would go to rescue prostitutes. I feel like saving her too." Below was a video. In the video, Bai Ningbing was wearing a delivery company uniform at the gate of a residential society. She had a small helmet on her head. Her back was torn in 2 places. Some rich boys surrounded her and started making fun of her. One said, "What do you mean? You had an accident on the way. You're 13 minutes late, Miss Bai, according to the platform. Why are you acting so miserable? Who are you showing this to?" Another said, "Fine, we won't complain about you. But first kneel down in front of my sister and apologize. Then it's over. Will you kneel or not?" Bai Ningbing stood there, her head bowed as usual. She continued to apologize. Looking at her, she looked even more helpless and vulnerable than that night outside. This made my blood boil. I immediately stood up. "Damn you. How dare these people harass my little golden canary?" I immediately asked my friend, "When did this happen?" He replied, "Just now." Looking at the background of the video, I recognized the place. It was right near my house. I immediately grabbed my keys and ran out. When I got there, their insults were still continuing. I screamed loudly. Everyone turned to look at me at once. I took a wad of notes from my bag and threw it at them. "What's all this fuss about? So what if she's 13 minutes late? Minutes late. You don't know she's mine?" We had a little argument. So she came out to deliver the food. "And how dare you bother her. Here's your lunch money and this tip. If you don't want to be a newspaper headline, Todd, take your money and get out of here." At first, everyone took me for granted. But as soon as they recognized me, their faces changed. My father's company may not be the largest, but most people in our circle wouldn't dare mess with me. They whispered among themselves for a while, then let me go and laughed. Bai Ningbing was still standing there, neither bowed nor arrogant, like a white flower blooming in a storm. My heart ached. I wiped the dirt from her face, then said softly, "Ningbing, see, it's not a good idea for me to come back home. People are treating you so badly outside." She bit her lip. She didn't say anything. Then my eyes fell on her torn pants. There was a little blood on the edge. Perhaps she was injured inside. I reached out to look at it, but she immediately pulled back. She gasped in pain. I panicked. "Does it hurt a lot?" She nodded unconsciously, then quickly denied it. Sniffing her nose, she said, "Does it really matter to you?" I immediately replied, "Of course it does. I ran to save you. Doesn't this prove me right?" "Quickly, let me see how badly you're hurt." But she still wouldn't let me touch her. She arched her neck in stubbornness. and ask, am I just your toy? If I break or get damaged, you'll bring me another one. Then why bother looking? Her face was cold, but there was a faint sob in her voice, like a proud child who had been abandoned. I quickly replied, no, it doesn't matter. I said I'd take responsibility for you, so I'll fulfill it by do it. Don't deliver food anymore. Come back to my house. Bai Ningbing bit her lip. She kept looking at me. A hint of complaint slowly filled her eyes. Then she asked in a low voice, should I go back to your house? Who knows? Tomorrow someone might offer a higher price, and you'll sell me again, but she still hadn't completely forgotten the trauma of her bankruptcy. Perhaps her biggest fear now was betrayal. Seeing her, I felt a strong urge to protect her even more. Believe me, even if someone offered me $1 billion, I would never sell you. Really? Never. Finally, Bai Ningbing reluctantly returned home with me. Then I suddenly remembered something. I quickly turned around and reminded her of it. And, yes, Bai Bing, even though I brought you back, you're still my canary, eh? Your responsibilities haven't changed. But I will remain your sugar mommy. Saying this, I felt a little guilty. Bai Ningbing just stared at me silently. Then she nodded. She became obedient as always. I said a little hesitantly, the thing you should do when you get home is take off your top. Bai Ning froze for a moment, then immediately understood what I was saying. She glared at me angrily, but still quietly took off her t-shirt. It's fine now. Yes, absolutely. I continued to nod. Then I said, and Pat? I was about to remind her that she should change her pants too. But then I saw her sitting comfortably on the sofa. She took off her pants and started putting on a new set of clothes. Hearing my words, she looked up. What happened? What I had just seen flashed through my mind. Then memories of last night came to mind. My face turned red. I stammered, nothing. I'll get the first aid kit first. I never knew Bai Ningbing had such a low tolerance for pain. She had bruised both her knees from a fall from an electric scooter. When I was applying the medicine, she would gasp in pain at the slightest touch. I had no other option. I applied the medicine slowly, then began blowing gently on the wound. Only then did she stop groaning in pain. Packing up the first aid box, I couldn't help but ask, who's being cared for here, you or me? Hey, me. She blinked innocently. I do all the housework and that too, in a maid's uniform. Hearing her words, I was at a loss. It was right. Because Bai Ning wore the same maid's uniform every day, as I asked. She obeyed everything I said. She did everything I asked. She also worked diligently around the house. Sometimes her face would turn red with anger. Her whole body would tremble slightly. But she wouldn't say anything. She would endure it silently. Seeing her face flush with anger would bring me a strange joy. But these good days didn't last long. One day my father suddenly came home. Because the news of my keeping Bai Ningbing had spread throughout the wealthy circle. Some wealthy people were jealous of me, because I had Bai Ningbing first. But even more so were those who had previously been Bai Ningbing's enemies. When she was ruling the business world, she was always a tough decision-maker. No one dared to speak out against her. But as soon as she fell, her old enemies did not rest it. By keeping her with me, I had not only alleviated her debt, but also protected her from the evil eyes of others. But because of this, I myself became their target. And the business world never runs out of ways to attack. My father's company was the first to be attacked. Father, with his hand on his chest, said, Feng Yuan, can't we stop keeping her? Yeah. I stared at the company's shares in astonishment. Instead of the constantly falling red, everything now appeared green. I was deeply troubled. After all, I had made a promise to Bai Ning. If I had kept her, then I was also responsible for her. Who would have thought it would come to this? Father began showing me the state of the company. Almost every employee was terrified. Worry was evident on everyone's face, as if they would lose their jobs at any moment. Among them were several uncles and aunts who had watched me grow up since childhood. Their hair had turned grayer than ever. I felt a pang of guilt. My stubbornness had caused so many people hardship. I couldn't ignore my family. But I couldn't figure out how to tell Bai Ningbing this. Meanwhile, Bai Ningbing was still unaware. She was dressed as usual in her maid's uniform, setting the food on the dining table. 3 vegetables and a soup, all my favorites. If I had such food any other day, I would have definitely appeased her somehow. But today I ate just a few bites and then went straight to my room. I lay on the bed and thought for a long time. Then someone entered the room. The mattress pressed lightly behind me. The familiar scent of her body wafted through the room. For a while, I didn't move at all. Then I heard Bai Ningbing's soft voice. "What happened today? Why are you so sad?" I hadn't been able to think about anything yet, so I just brushed it off. It's that time of the month. Perhaps she sensed my bad mood. Without a word, she lifted the blanket and lay down next to me. She took me in her arms, then placed her warm hands on my temples. "I'll rub your head." I wanted to refuse, but I was afraid she might start thinking too much, so I let her in. Her fingers gently massaged my temples. Within a short while, I felt much more relaxed. I asked, "How long have you known all this, Bai Ningbing?" She smiled slightly. "I'm just teaching you a little bit." A few more days passed, but Father still hadn't found a solution to the company's problems. The shares were falling further and further each day. I couldn't stand it anymore. I mentally rehearsed several times how to tell Bai Ningbing that I couldn't keep her around anymore. I took a deep breath and opened the bedroom door. Bai Ningbing was sitting with her back to me. She was in front of the computer, the screen still on. I went over to her. Then my eyes fell on the big words on the screen. "Kept woman, how to win your sugar daddy's heart. The complete guide." I was still standing there in shock when Bai Ningbing closed the web page with lightning speed. Then she turned to me and asked, "What happened?" I pointed to the computer. "What were you looking at?" She said, "You already saw it, so why are you asking?" But I was still wondering whether to tell the truth. Finally, I said, "Yes, I did." She sighed softly. "It's okay. You've been losing interest in me lately. You don't touch me. You don't hug me. You don't sleep with me. You don't sleep with me. I think I might lose my job." The more she spoke, the softer her voice became. Finally, a faint complaint crept into her voice. "Have you found someone out there who suits you more than me?" Hearing this, I paused for a moment. Although I hadn't found anyone, perhaps she was truly beginning to think she was about to lose her job. My hesitation, my repeated wavering, hadn't escaped Bai Ningbing's attention. She lowered her gaze. "So that's it. It's okay. Anyway, I never fully believed your words from the beginning. Things like 'I'll never leave you' or 'Echo.' After all, everyone gets bored one day. I understand. It was just the trouble I had last time at the food delivery platform. I don't know if I'll ever get a job there again." She bit her lip. The stubbornness and unwavering spirit in her eyes was evident. Seeing her so strong, my guilt intensified. I pulled her into my arms. "Bai Ningbing, forgive me." As I apologized, her whole body went stiff. The atmosphere between us suddenly cooled. "The truth is, I can't keep you around anymore, because ever since I brought you in, my father's company has been under constant scrutiny. The company is almost ruined. Although I really like you, I'm helpless." As soon as I said that, it felt as if the coolness in the room vanished. Bai Ningbing looked at me. What did you just say? No, it wasn't about family. It wasn't about my father's company being targeted. The line that followed, when you said you liked me, I was a little embarrassed. Yes, I really do like you. A slight smile appeared on her face. Then she gently hugged me. That's enough for me. Bai Ningbing needed some time to find a new place to live, EMA. That's why she couldn't leave my house that day. But now that everything was clear, there was no burden on my heart. I decided to spend every moment with her while she was here. After all, after she left, I would never be able to spend time with her like that again. Perhaps Bai Ningbing had also understood what was going on in my mind. She started taking care of me even more than before, day and night, tirelessly. Gradually, I began to feel that maybe I didn't want to let her go. I told Dad to stay a few more days. He said he understood. But the strange thing was that after that very day, our company shares started rising again. I was completely shocked. I hadn't even told anyone that I was leaving Bai Ningbing. Then how suddenly everything changed. After this, even more strange things started happening. One by one, the companies that had jointly attacked our business were exposed for tax evasion, substandard products, and many other irregularities. Now they had no time to deal with their own problems. There was no question of conspiring against us. Dad called me. Laughing loudly, he said, "See? This is what happens to bad people." After laughing, I asked softly, "So can I continue to be with Bai Ningbing now?" Dad's laughter immediately stopped upon hearing my words. "Feng Han, let them get through this mess first. When they're settled, they'll target us again. I replied softly, "Okay." After hanging up the phone, I turned around. Bai Ningbing was mopping the floor quietly as usual. The sight of her made me feel a little more. I gently squeezed her hip. "In 2 days, I probably won't even be able to touch her. So let me feel her a little more. She nodded quietly, as always. But 2 days later, several of the companies that had targeted us declared bankruptcy one by one. Dad was completely shocked. How did this happen? These weren't small companies. How did they all suddenly collapse all at once? I shrugged. I don't understand business that much. I don't know. But deep inside, I was very happy. Now I could be with Bai Ningbing again. I exchanged a few words with Dad and quickly hung up. Then I went to my room. But before I could open the door, I heard someone talking inside. Ever since Bai Ningbing had gone bankrupt, people had only made fun of her. No one had contacted her personally. So who was she talking to? I became curious. I gently pressed my ear to the door. Then I heard Bai Ningbing's calm voice. "So what if I wasn't bankrupt? Anyone who talks nonsense to her is destined for ruin." Hearing this, my mind went completely numb. She wasn't bankrupt? Who? Bai Ningbing, the same Bai Ningbing I used to crush and harass every day. I was so shocked that I didn't even hear the footsteps approaching the door. I just stood there like a statue. The door opened. Bai Ningbing came out. Our eyes met. I stood there, frozen and completely stunned. She was also a little nervous. She'd finished talking to Papa so quickly. I started stammering. "Yes, I was just talking to Papa." She looked at me intently. "Did you hear anything?" I shook my head quickly. "No, I didn't hear anything. Not at all." She narrowed her eyes slightly. "Then why are you so nervous?" I turned quickly. "No, I'm just very happy. I have to go to the bathroom." But I couldn't even take half a step. Binding grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. She fell straight into my arms. Then she laughed softly. "Fengin, whenever you lie, you always touch your ear. That habit is so cute." My vision darkened as I heard this. I was done. The way she spoke made it clear that she had never really gone bankrupt. Remembering everything I had done to her made me want to die of shame. Please, let me go." But she held me tighter with both hands. "What happened? Last night, you yourself were telling me not to go out anywhere." As soon as she brought up last night, I was completely shattered, Man. I covered my face with both hands in embarrassment. Just don't say it now. You weren't bankrupt, yet you let me keep you. How could you be so strange? She raised her head. Then she gently bit my ear. Feng Han, you said you wanted to keep me. So who was strange? Me or you? I immediately accepted. I was the one who was strange. I quickly put my hand over her mouth. It was just humanity, compassion. I didn't want my old rival to suffer so much outside. I almost gagged her, but she wasn't angry at all. Instead, she slowly extended her tongue and lightly licked my palm. The touch of her warm, slightly moist tongue felt like electricity ran through my entire body. Every hair on my body stood on end. If you really didn't want me to suffer, Bai Ningbing said with a charming smile. There were plenty of other ways to do it. Feng Yuan, do you really think you were insulting me? Or rewarding me? Hearing her words brought back memories of all the times I had teased Bai Ningbing meeting. Her flushed face, her red ears, her trembling body. So wasn't that because of anger? The thought made my scalp go numb. Bai Ningbing, how could you be so weird? She placed a gentle kiss on my neck again. Feng Yuan, don't you like this? Her tongue deliberately glided over my sensitive spots. I completely lost control. I grabbed Bai Ningbing and threw her straight onto the bed. You'll see today, if I leave you, my name won't be Feng Yuan anymore. Finally, Bai Ningbing told the truth. She wasn't pretending anymore. I had also stopped caring about my sugar mummy status. No matter how many times she said no, I wouldn't listen to a single word. The next day, I was so sick I couldn't even get out of bed. I was huddled under the blanket in anger, not even showing my face. Just then, Bai Ning came to my bed with a plate of hot breakfast. I poked my head out of the blanket and said angrily, "You're luring me out with food?" She said with a lazy smile. "Feng Yuan, you're so cute even when you're angry." Hearing this, my face turned red again.